Um, what are my views about what is happening in the world today? The universal lockdown around the world, particularly as it affects Salatul Jum'ah. Salatul Jum'ah is made obligatory in the Quran. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا نودي للصلاة من يوم الجمعة فاسعوا إلى ذكر الله وذروا البيع. O you who have faith, when the call to prayer is made on the day of Jum'ah, be quick, hasten to the remembrance of Allah in the Jama'ah, and stop your worldly affairs, stop your business. And so this is a command from Allah, command. But around the world today, even in the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, the governments now prohibit us from performing the Salatul Jum'ah. People are being beaten up when they go to the masjid. Yeah. And I'm getting emails from so many Sheikh, how do you respond to this situation? Well, first of all, I don't think that conventional Islamic scholarship that came out of the Darul Uloom is able to respond to what's happening in the world today. No. Darul Uloom scholarship cannot even understand, far less respond to what's happening in the world today. You need that scholarship which can penetrate the reality of the world today, and which can use the Quran and the ahadith which are in harmony with the Quran to be able to understand and penetrate what's happening in the world today. And my comment is that it is wrong on the part of governments to ban us, to prohibit us from performing Salatul Jum'ah. No. They have no right to do that. And if we have the power to resist a government, we must use that power to resist them. When we do not have the power to resist a government, then Allah says in Surah At-Taghabun, Ittaqullaha mastata'atum. Fear Allah to the extent that you have capacity to do so. And when you cannot resist them and it is oppression, then you make hijrah, which is what Nabi Muhammad ﷺ did. Yes, I agree. You don't have to teach me that if there are conditions of grave insecurity, yes, of course, we have to suspend Salatul Jum'ah when conditions of grave insecurity exist. But who decides? Is it a secular government which has even less than a passing acquaintance with the Quran, which got its scholarship from Oxford University? Is that a competent authority to determine whether or not such conditions exist as warrant the suspension of Salatul Jum'ah? What nonsense. No. If you had respect for the truth which has come from Allah, if you had respect for Allah, then you will allow those who have the competence, who have the knowledge of what has come from Allah, let them be the ones to decide. And when they decide, yes, conditions of grave insecurity now exist, then they're not fools, they're not buffoons, they have knowledge, and they can themselves now advise that Salatul Jum'ah should be suspended. Yes, that is the way. But not government authority. If government could suspend Salatul Jum'ah today, what would they do tomorrow? And what would they do the day after? When the grand mastermind wants to lock down the whole world in order to advance the agenda of Israel. And every government has to comply. And so are we going to be sheep who is tamely, tamely submit to everything that government decides, including that which pertains to our, Allah's rights and our duties to Allah? I say no. You don't have to teach me. I don't need your teachings. I can understand that when conditions of grave insecurity exist, yes, the Salatul Jummah should be suspended. You don't have to teach that to me. That's not the subject. The subject is who decides. Who decides that conditions of grave insecurity exist, and we must therefore suspend the Salatul Jummah? Is it those who are the government and who have no interest in the religion and in the truth, and who can make any law that they want? Allah can make it halal, they make it haram. Allah has made it halal for a girl 17 years of age to get married. Allah has made it halal, and these godless people make it haram. If you make haram what Allah made halal, that is shirk. Don't come to me with your nonsense. I don't need your wisdom. Your wisdom is greater than Allah's wisdom. What nonsense is this? If you cannot understand, listen to me. If Allah made something halal and you make it haram, that is shirk. You commit that shirk and now you have the authority to tell me I can't go to Salatul Jummah? No, that is not right. We are the ones who should decide. You can consult with us. You can offer us guidance. You can offer us information. But we are the ones who decide. Don't take that freedom away from us. And that's what they've done. So what do? When around the world today that freedom is being taken away from us, and we're being locked down like prisoners so that the mastermind could now incrementally pursue his agenda that Pax Judaica must replace Pax America. Everybody knows that now. I've been teaching it for long enough. While the Darul Uloom was eating their biryani and going home and sleep, I've been teaching this for so long. While the Darul Uloom and those who have been closing the doors of the masjid to me, while they were eating their biryani and going home and sleep, I have been teaching the subject for so long. So now there are so many, except these deaf, dumb and blind. There are so many who understand now that the world is in transition, and this virus is being used for this transition from Pax Americana to Pax Judaica. And so the universal lockdown has to be understood not just in any medical perspective. The universal lockdown has to be understood in a larger picture, namely to facilitate the incremental steps that are being taken from Pax Americana to achieve Pax Judaica. And so wherever in the world that you have the power and the freedom to resist the government and to continue Salatul Jummah, if you are convinced that conditions do not as yet exist which warrant the suspension of Salatul Jummah, then go ahead and perform your Salatul Jummah and defy them. But when you are convinced, when your scholars are convinced, when your leaders are convinced, yes, conditions do exist of great insecurity, then by all means you must suspend the Salatul Jummah and perform your Salat individually. Can you have Salatul Jummah for 10 people? And if number 11 comes, you say, no, you cannot join? Can you have Salatul Jummah for 5 people? And if number 6 comes, you tell him, no, you cannot join? Remember, is it Surah Al-Anfal? Inna sharra ad-dawabi inda Allahi summul bukmu alladhina la ya'qilun. That the worst creatures in Allah's sight, the worst of them all, are the dumb and the deaf who don't think. Remember this in the Quran. So please think. You cannot restrict the number of people. in Salatul Jummah. If you have to restrict, the Salat is invalid. You cannot restrict the number of people. If you cannot keep the number, cannot keep the law, that is, Salatul Jummah is for the largest gathering possible, and you have to restrict, then the answer is you've got to suspend Salatul Jummah. If you keep the Salatul Jummah with a large number of people, you're going to be charged a fine of $50,000. You can go to jail for 6 months. So you don't want that. So you're keeping the Salatul Jummah for 10 people or 5 people? Excuse me, I wish I didn't have to say this to you. That is nonsense. That is nonsense. Don't make a fool of yourself. You have to suspend the Salatul Jummah, suspend the Salatul Jummah until such time when the Salatul Jummah can be performed in accordance with the law, meaning the large, unrestricted gathering. So here's my first comment. If you have the power to resist the government, then resist the government and ensure that you have your Salatul, and that, of course, is going to lead to civil war. But those are the people who are going to be resisting Dajjal, not the rest who are sheep and goats. Number 2, a caller, yes, okay? I do not have the expertise, the scientific, the technological, the medical expertise. I don't have that to even determine whether this is a virus or not. I don't have that expertise. So those who have the expertise, they are the ones who must answer that question about a vaccine. For me, from the viewpoint of eschatology, I have to be conscious that our Prophet ﷺ has warned us. What is his warning? He said that in Akhiru Zaman there will be great liars and therefore great deception. In Akhiru Zaman there will be great liars and therefore great deception. And so beware. And so we have to put on our thinking caps, and we have to ensure that we seek knowledge and information from sources which are reliable. And what surah it is? إِذَا جَاءَكُمْ, this is Surah Al-Hujurat, yes. يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا إِذَا جَاءَكُمْ فَاسِقٌ بِنَبَإٍ فَتَبَيَّنُوا أَن تُصِيبُوا قَوْمًا بِجَهَالَةٍ فَتُصْبِحُوا عَلَى مَا فَعَلْتُمْ نَادِمِينَ. When news reaches you from a sinful source, you must be careful to assess it, to examine it, so that you can determine what is truth from what is bogus, and that you do not come to conclusions and cause blame to a people who are innocent, and therefore you regret what you've done. This is I think it's Surah Al-Hujurat. And today the media tells lies. Every day, every day, every day they are telling monstrous lies. And you know that. So if we refuse to accept what is coming to us about this virus, except with a pinch of salt, don't blame us. Don't blame us. No. I judge the virus from its footprints. That's what I do. So, first of all, I see and I have the evidence that people are falling ill and dying, even here in Trinidad. And so it is obligatory on us to have reasonable precautions. Yes, reasonable. But I am not going to stop shaking hands with people. And I'm not going to put on any face masks and put on gloves and all these things. No. I say the first response to this virus is, number 1, to banish the fear of death from the heart. Number 2, that you must have faith. Faith is that which resides in the heart. That life is in Allah's hands and death is in Allah's hands. This must never, never, ever depart from your heart. Life and death is not in the hands of any government, or any hospital, or any doctor, or any vaccine. No, if Allah has ordained death, nothing can help you and save you. Hold on 1 second, please, with your call. Number two, if Allah has not ordained death, nothing can take your life. And number three, when this is taking place, you must reach out to others to help them. I understand from the footprints of this lockdown, the footprints are connected with the movement and the transition from Pax Americana to Pax Judaica. Okay, we have another call from the United States. Go ahead. Hello? The virus and the lockdown very clearly is connected with the transition from paper money and cryptocurrencies to one universal currency for all of mankind, controlled by one central bank. And that, of course, will be under the control of the State of Israel, so that Israel can replace the United States of America as the next ruling state in the world. Hong Kong, please hold on for a moment. Hong Kong, please hold on. When Britain became the first ruling state in the world, the British sterling pound became the international currency. When the United States replaced Britain, which happened in the Bretton Woods Accord in upstate New York, and then the creation of the International Monetary Fund, the US dollar replaced the sterling pound as the international currency. We don't have the time in this to explain to you all these things connected with international monetary economics. But I realized long ago, this book of mine, Jerusalem in the Quran, was written how many years ago? 20 years ago, when I was still in New York, 20 years ago. And in this book, Jerusalem in the Quran, I wrote it, that they'll have to have a new monetary system to replace the US dollar. They were 20 years ago. And I anticipate it will be electronic money, one universal currency for all of mankind. Yes, the IMF has the SDR, and they're now talking about the Bancor, which is what Maynard Keynes talked about in Bretton Woods, the Bancor. But the essential thing is going to be one universal currency for all of mankind, and we're now in transition. Yes, the call from Hong Kong. Hello? Now then, we continue. I spoke about the ominous implications, ominous, of the shutdown. That governments now have the authority to imprison us, curfew, stay at home. Governments now have that authority. We don't have the power to resist it. No. But those who have the power to resist it should resist it and say no. A call from Dubai. Yes, go ahead, Dubai. Now then, back to where we were talking about, this is a very dangerous situation where governments have the authority now to lock us down. We agree, of course, that when conditions of grave insecurity exist, that yes, there must be certain preventative measures which must be in place in order to protect the society. We are not fools. No, we are not fools. We understand that. We simply ask who it is who has the authority to stop us from performing our religious duties. Does the state have that authority? No. The state should consult with us. It is very arrogant on the part of the state to assume the responsibility. You are a secular institution and you invade in our religious life and now tell us we cannot perform our Salatul Jummah. No, you should show some respect for us. This is the first comment I've made, and where you have the power to resist the state, do resist the state. Of course, that's going to lead to civil war. But where you don't have the power, you have to obey. You have to fear Allah to the extent that you have the capacity to do so, as in this country. And when you find that you're being oppressed, then you leave. You pack up your suitcase and you leave and you make hijrah. Now then, there is yet another implication of what's happening in the world today. It is as though mankind is being tested, and Allah is separating us into two different kinds of people, two groups. At the beginning of Surah Al-Kahf, Allah warns, Ba'san shadida min ladun. He warns of a time, a terrible time that is coming, of Ba's, that which will cause great distress and suffering, Ba's. And he says it will be Ba'san shadid, terrible Ba's, very great distress and great suffering. But alongside the group which will be tested and punished, وَبَشِّرِ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ أَنَّ لَهُمْ أَجْرًا حَسَنًا. There is another group, people who have faith and people who are righteous in conduct. They don't have to worry. They don't have to worry. Allah will reward them. And now, for very important comments in today's session. If you have been committing zina, adultery, and fornication, well, you have every right to be worried now, and you should be sweating, because it's hardly likely that your dua to Allah for protection will be answered when you're committing zina. Or if you have been stealing, you're working for somebody and you're stealing from him. You're stealing from him, you're taking his money. Well, if you're caught, your hand will be cut off by Allah's law. But this terrible bash today will tell you, if you don't lose your hand here, you'll lose it there. Yes, because you're a thief. Number three, you are oppressing people. You are employing people and you're not paying them the wage that you're supposed to pay them. You're oppressing them. Well, you should be sweeping. Okay, a call from Curep. Hello? All right, thank you very much. We are saying that there are two kinds of people. There are those now who are being tested with Ba's. Ba's means that which causes distress and suffering. Ba'san shadidan min ladun. This is the beginning of Surah Al-Kahf. Terrible Ba's, Ba'san shadidan min ladun. And that's what is happening now. But while they are sweating, there are others. وَبَشِّرِ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ أَنَّ لَهُمْ أَجْرًا حَسَنًا. There are others who have faith in Allah and whose conduct is righteous. They don't have to worry. لَا خَوْفٌ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا هُمْ يَحْزَنُونَ حَقٌّ عَلَيْنَا نَصْرُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. Because they have been righteous in conduct and they have faith in their heart. What is righteousness in conduct? I mentioned about committing zina. You have to have sexual relations, you must marry her. Bring her out in the sunshine. There are two kinds of people. There are those who are men and those who are rats. The man will hold her hand and bring her out in the sunshine and treat her with respect. The rat will keep her in the dark. Shall I repeat that? The rat will keep her in the dark with no dignity, no respect. But the man who is a man will bring her in the sunshine. This is my wife. So this is righteous conduct, to avoid zina. I spoke about stealing, robbing other people. You working and you're stealing from your boss. And the law is to cut off your hand. Of course, we won't cut off your hand for a mango, but more than that, a whole dinar and more, we cut off your hand. If your hand is not cut off here, your hand will be cut off there. When you steal, when you take that which does not belong to you, that's the punishment. Cut off their hands. So you should be sweating now. Cold sweat if you've been committing zina. Cold sweat if you've been stealing from others. Bandits robbing people. And then there are those who tell lies. The one who has faith in his heart, on his lips there's always truth. Yes, truth. You've been telling lies, and now here we are. The time has come. Ba'san shadid. You speak ill of others. You gossip and you wash your mouth on other people. This is backbiting. You should not say behind his back or behind her back what you would not say in public. Yes, Jean-Frère? Hello? Yes, do please bring some more water for me. Thank you. So these are the two people. These are the two people. During this time of this shutdown and this virus, the world is separating two people. Those who don't have to worry. Just take whatever should be taken as precautions, appropriate precaution, that's all. But no worry in the heart at all. No, don't lose of sleep. They're not sweating at all. They're not afraid to die. No, they don't have any fear of death in their heart. No, if I have to die, it is Allah who has ordained death for me. So I accept it. Yeah. This is one side of the story. People who still la khawfun alayhim wa la hum yahzanun. Whatever distress they have, they thank Allah for what they have. They thank for what they get. And they show patience. And then on the other hand, you have those who should be sweating, because they have been stealing, they've been robbing, they've been telling lies, they've been backbiting, they've been committing zina, they've been all of these things, they've been lending money and interest and so on. And now ba'san shadida min ladun. So this is my observation. Then there is a fidelity to the Quran. There are those who are faithful to the truth which is in the Quran, and those who have betrayed the Quran. Those who are faithful will be reciting the Quran. If you've been reciting the Quran from cover to cover, khatam every month, and you've been doing it for some time now, you must be so happy now. So happy, thank Allah that I've been doing that, because you've invested that. And that is now coming to help you, to protect you. Because Allah says in the Quran. You want to hear what He said? Are you listening? وَإِذَا قَرَأْتَ الْقُرْآنَ. And when you recite the Quran, جَعَلْنَا بَيْنَكَ وَبَيْنَ الَّذِينَ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْآخِرَةِ حِجَابًا مَسْتُورًا. And when you recite the Quran, we place between you and that world which does not believe in the hereafter, therefore an essentially godless world. We place the hijab between you. So the hijab, or the barrier, the curtain, separates you from them. Separates light from darkness, separates truth from falsehood, separates those who are righteous from those who are wicked and sinful. Yes. So this hijab will not only separate you from them, it's going to cover you. I wish I had the time to make some comments on 5G and on the internet. If we don't have any more calls, maybe we can do that. What is important at this time is to point out that not only is this virus and this universal lockdown separating the servants of Allah from the rest, those who live lives of cleanliness and purity and who don't commit zina, those who don't tell lies, don't oppress, those who do not betray the truth from the rest, that these people don't have to worry. Allah is going to protect you. حَقٌّ عَلَيْنَا نَصْرُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. Allah says in the Quran. So here is a wonderful moment while others are in state of distress, they are terrified, in a state of panic, and you're cool as a cucumber. Huh? MashaAllah. No gloves, no face mask. I don't stop shaking hands with anyone. No. If Allah has ordained death for me, I'll die. But in addition to that, there's something else that is happening in the world now. A call from Germany. Yes, hello? I'm saying to you that there's something else now happening in the world as a result of this virus and the universal lockdown. And that is that there is now a separation between conventional Islamic scholarship and that scholarship which is in the footprints of Khidr alayhi salam. It was Iqbal, the famous Islamic scholar of India. He died before Pakistan came into being. And Iqbal is the one who directed so much attention to this kind of scholarship. The first 2 chapters of his book, The Reconstruction of Religious Thought in Islam, was used to defend knowledge which comes from internal sources. Defend it. These are the first 2 chapters. The one who has insight, the one who sees with the nur of Allah. Ittaqu firasat al-mu'min. My teacher, Maulana Fadlur Rahman Ansari rahimahullah, was fond of quoting this hadith. Ittaqu firasat al-mu'min. Fear the commanding wisdom, insight of the believer. فَإِنَّهُ يَنْزُرُ مِن نُورِ اللَّهِ. Because when he sees with the nur of Allah. And Iqbal spoke about this. My Urdu is not too good. When I come to Pakistan later this year, you will see that my Urdu is not so good. But I do remember this verse of Iqbal, who wrote beautifully in Urdu, Hazaro saal nargis apni benuri pe roti hai. Nargis is the flower, this beautiful flower. For thousands of years, this beautiful flower has been crying. Hazaro saal nargis apni benuri pe roti hai. Badi mushkil se hota hai chaman mein deed awar paida. It's very, very difficult in this garden for a deedawarer to be born. A deedawarer is a Khidr alayhi salam, someone who sees with the nur of Allah. For many, a gem of ray serene, the deep unfathomed depths of ocean bare. For many a gem of ray serene, the depths of ocean bare. Full many a flower is born to blush unseen and waste its sweetness in the desert air. It was a British, a caller from Germany. Yes, go ahead. We have a little time left because we have to stop at 10:30. And I'm saying that what we are now witnessing, this is a very important point that I'm making. What we are now witnessing is the final moment when it becomes as plain and clear as daylight. The difference between conventional Islamic scholarship and the scholarship which has come from my teacher of blessed memory, Maulana Dr. Muhammad Fadlur Rahman Ansari rahimahullah. He got it from Iqbal. And Iqbal is the one who was calling for the deed hour, the independent thinker who would have insight. And this man, Maulana Fadlur Rahman Ansari, he responded to Iqbal. Iqbal called for reconstruction of religious thought, that the house of knowledge in Islam must be rebuilt. Take whatever is good from the past, whatever is solid. A caller from Yemen. Oh, mashallah. Go ahead. Hello? Okay. I want to now end because we have very little time left. My advice to you is wherever you are, even here in Trinidad, this is the wake-up call now. We have just a few minutes left. This is the wake-up call for you if you've been sleeping all the time. Go and build small communities in the countryside. Go out, get out of the cities. Go to the countryside and build small communities, 10, 15, 20 families. You don't have to be Muslims alone. You could have Christians, you could have Hindus with you, provided that you can live together as a family, okay? Number 2, produce your own food. Make sure you have food to eat. And animals, you have milk, you have meat. Number 3, you must have water. Number 4, you must have energy. So if you cannot get electricity, you can use wood, you can use gas. You can use solar energy. All of these things are possible for you. My critics have been criticizing me for I don't know how many years now. But today, alhamdulillah, this scholarship has proven itself to be correct, and that traditional Islamic scholarship is a failure, insofar as responding to the reality of the world today. Go to places where rain falls. Go to the mountainsides and take some sheep and goats with you. That is what the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam. And this is the time to do it. And finally, look for those who are in need. And at the top of the list, look for women who are alone, who do not have anyone to maintain them. Look for women with children who don't have anyone to maintain them. And if Allah gives you the means to do it, go and help them. One man will have to maintain 50 women. This is the time now to do it. You don't need permission from anybody. You don't have to marry them. They don't have to become your milk al-yamin. Not at all. Show respect for the woman. And this is the time to reach out and take care. Maybe you can pay their rent for them. Thank you. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.